Good evening, everyone. We'll call to order the meeting of the Architectural Review Board for March the 27th. And with that, could we have a roll call?
We can have the roll call. Board Member Wolf.
Here.
Board Member Little.
Here.
Board Member Johnson. Vice Chair O'Connor.
Here.
And Chair Blakemore is not here. She may be coming, and if she does, she can take over the duties, but you'll be our chair tonight.
Very good. So with that, this is the moment for public comment on items not on the agenda, but otherwise within the purview of the ARB. Anyone here to speak?
Items not on tonight's agenda? Nope.
Anybody on Zoom?
Nobody over on Zoom.
Very good. With that, we'll move into project review.
Mr. Vice Chair, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Yep.
We do have one. Cindy has a matters by staff item, but hoping that you would allow her to go ahead and do that first in order so she doesn't have to stick around till the end of the agenda to do it then.
No problem.
Thank you. Go ahead, Cindy.
All right, good evening, ARB members. Yes, I have a matters by staff item for you on the Howard New Residence on Dorrance, 4818 Dorrance. It's under construction right now if you've been by there recently. They want to make a few changes to the exterior and a little bit to the floor plan, so I'm going to go over those changes, and I just want your thoughts and if we can recommend approval for those. They will need a revised building permit for the scope of this work. And as you recall, well, it doesn't look like this anymore because they've started construction. Now it's got the foundation, but this is the vacant lot on Dorrance at 4818 Dorrance. And the scope of the changes are changing the exterior from brown shingle siding to gray lap siding, enclosing the master bedroom balcony and doing a little pop out on the second bedroom at the front, changing the porch landings and steps to wood instead of the stone, dropping the floor in the mechanical room and with a new exterior door that's at grade, eliminating an interior fireplace in the workshop, which would be interior floor plan only, no really exterior. There's no chimney or anything for the fireplace, and then just window changes throughout. So here's the changes to the floor plan. The old is on the top and the new is on the bottom. So I put little stars where the changes are. So you can see here the front porch was originally proposed to be stone, with stone steps, the sandstone, flagstone. And then now they are proposing to have wood, a wooden porch with wood steps down. Here's that new mechanical room. It was originally supposed to be storage, where the mechanical in here accessible from the inside, and now they've decided it would be better to have the mechanical accessed from the outside in this bigger space, and then they've converted the other into a little closet for the den and then a little pantry for the kitchen. And then these back steps here were originally stone and proposed to go to wood. And then the second floor revisions. Originally, the master bedroom up here, or primary bedroom, had a balcony that looked over towards the street. And then to keep the relief for the front elevation, the second bedroom stepped out a little bit here. So the balcony was already sunk in, and then the bedroom stepped out. And now they are enclosing that bedroom, the balcony, would like to make it part of the bedroom and eliminate the balcony because of waterproofing concerns. And then to keep that same relief from the street elevation, popping that second bedroom out just a little bit more to keep that relief in the front elevation. And I meant to draw this on here before the meeting today, but the balcony enclosure and the new bedroom pop out are not in the front yard setback. Like, the front porch was down here. Part of that is in the front yard, and a little front strip of the living area downstairs is in the front yard. But this additional square footage is not at all in the front yard setback. And then here's the change in the workshop to just eliminate this little interior fireplace and just have a big open room floor plan. And then here's the elevations where you can see everything a little better. So this is the front elevation of the street view. Here you can see the new wood steps. And then the change from having the doors out to a balcony here. Now that wall is flush with this part here. And then the second bedroom pop out just a little bit more. And then now a little bit bigger windows there. And then 3 windows here now instead of the doors. And then a little bit smaller window here in the front. All throughout the house, there's just little kind of tweaks to the windows. And then that's it for the front elevation. And the funny thing to me is originally they proposed the house to be gray, and now they're back to the gray. So it was a little bit darker gray. They were going to do the shake shingles in a little bit darker gray, but I just thought it was funny. It went full circle. And then here, I believe this is a second bedroom window maybe that's getting eliminated, or it was going to be in a closet or something. Anyway, so now there's just 3 windows along this side, and there were 4 on the second floor. And then these windows here, this is the living room and den area entry. They're a little bit higher sills, and these 2 are a little closer together than originally. And then this would be the east elevation. Here's that new, here, it was just a little above grade room into that little storage. Now it's going to be, the floor will be at grade, so it will be a regular door here to access the mechanical space. And then, door and window changes throughout. And this is the rear elevation. Again, stone here is now proposed to be the wood. And then just a little bit narrower, a little bit wider window here for the kitchen now, and it was proposed originally a little bit narrower. And then here's the updated colors and materials showing the new lighter gray lap siding. Oops. And that concludes my presentation for the matters by staff. So I'll go back to that front. You guys did not. Actually, those came in this afternoon after I already printed those packets for you. So,
But Cindy, the roof's the same, the comp shingles.
yeah. Yeah.
Cindy, could we go back to that material screen, since we don't have it here?
Yeah. So basically, everything's the same as it was before, except the siding was a
Shingle.
dark brown shingle, and then they had a wood stain color that they were going to use that they've eliminated. Now they're just going to go with the white trim on everything.
Cindy, could you go to the east elevation? Sorry.
What is that horizontal?
Hardy
It's
panels.
a hardy.
Yeah, hardy board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just can't read it, sorry.
Oh yeah, no, that's hardy. It holds up really well in the beach neighborhood.
Sure.
You wanted the east elevation
I think that's it, yeah, in the.
facing the spot direction, or do you
yeah,
want the other
that-
way?
That one.
Okay.
In the new condition on the garage there, is that a door?
Oh no, this is like a little barbecue area.
Okay.
Yeah, they switched it around. It was a barbecue and a sink, and now it's a sink and a barbecue.
The,
And that's probably just
is that just like a backsplash? That's up there?
right. So for like fireproofing or heat, for
Gotcha.
so that it doesn't make marks on the wall if they burn anything.
Any other questions?
When they added the square footage, did that change the FARs?
It did a little bit, but it doesn't. It didn't impact the project because it's PRD 20 zone, which goes by lot coverage, and it didn't change the square footage of the first floor, so they're fine.
Thank you.
And we don't address the permitting matters. You mentioned permitting. There's some
Yeah, they'll
permitting,
have
Oh.
to, so there's enough changing here that they'll have to revise the building permit, but substantial conformance with the previous planning approval of it. If the ARB's comfortable with the changes.
There's like little structural alterations because the windows are changing,
Right.
some of them, so the headers and that sort of thing will be changing. So that's going to trigger the building permit, plus the new square footage, moving those walls around, shear walls, all that fun stuff. But we didn't want them to submit for the building permit revision until we knew you guys were going to be okay with the changes. So I'll go back to that front page and we just do a little punch list down the list of things that are changing, if that's okay for discussion.
Of course.
Okay. So and it's a matters by staff, so you're not voting. So how does everybody feel about changing the siding from the brown shingle to gray lap?
One point, should we go, any public comment before
Oh,
we do
yes,
this?
yes, sorry.
Anybody,
Brian, if,
anybody here from the public would like to comment? Nobody on Zoom?
Correct. Nobody over Zoom.
oh, is Dylan Chappelle on by Zoom?
Nobody's actually currently on.
Okay, sorry, Cindy, go ahead.
So I guess we could do it actually the opposite way. Does any board member have any concern with any of the proposed changes that they'd like to opine upon? Go ahead.
I believe I need to recuse myself from this discussion because it's my neighbor.
Oh,
Good point.
she might be close enough actually on this one.
Asked for that first.
Well, we didn't think about it because it was matters by staff. We looked at the other items on the agenda. Good point.
Here, let's see if we can see.
So any of the other three, are there any concerns with any of the proposed changes or any discussion of those?
What did I just do?
I don't have any concerns with it, it's fine.
No, I think it's disappointing that we're losing the second floor balcony and the stone at the entry, but I don't have any problem with the changes.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I think actually the front elevation looks better, that bedroom coming out on the roof line, cutting up the roof line is pretty nice. Breaking up the roof line. So,
All right. So they are okay to proceed with the building permit.
Thank you. Okay, acting chair. You may move on to item number 1. Call that
Yes.
one up.
You're welcome. There.
Yes, please, and just make sure when you want to speak to push the button, see the green light on there.
I ended up with an extra set of plans from the building permit submittal, so you can just use these for reference tonight if you need them. And then I'm gonna take these back.
howdy. How you doing?
So, Mr. Chair, acting chair, we'll want to just confirm there's no
Yeah, ex parte, anybody on 5557 Coyote Arena?
Thank you.
We're good. So we'll go with the review of the staff report.
Yes, I'm pulling it up right now. All right. This is the Mayor Single Family Residence Remodel and additions at 557 Kai Arena, and they're here for final review tonight. As you may recall, this is the property that's immediately west of where the vacant lot where the new FAF house is proposed. And here's a street view of the existing residence, single story, 1-car garage. So the project, to refresh your memories, is a partial demolition and rebuild of an existing 2,233 square foot single-family residence with a 2-story, 2,663 square foot residence. The project is at 33.67 of its lot coverage and 39.9% of the FAR because of the second story. A 242 square foot covered patio is included at the rear of the dwelling. The project would upgrade the garage to a 2-car garage, so from 1 cars to 2 cars. The maximum height would be 23 feet 8 inches above finished grade. New walls and fencing, hardscape, and landscaping are proposed. And the Planning Commission approved the conditional use permit for this project on August 5th, 2024. So it's been blessed by the Planning Commission. So here's the site plan. As you might recall, the reason they needed the conditional use permit was for this corner of the house that's in the, partially in the front yard setback and then also in the side yard setback, the currently required. And then the rest of the project is back here. And then here's the floor plan. No real changes on the floor plan or the little tweaks to the windows on the elevation since the last time you saw it, but no major changes. And then here's the second floor. And here's the preliminary is on the top one in these elevations, and then the final proposed elevations are at the bottom on here, just like last time with the Howard project. So here's what you saw at preliminary, how they nestled the second story down and got the plate heights down or the open ceiling inside to, and the little clear story to get that front entry a little more welcoming. And here's the east elevation. As you can see, just some fine tuning of the windows locations over here. And then again, the west elevation, a door out of one of the bathroom, downstairs bathroom. And then here's just, from a double window down to a single window, these 3 lights instead of 2, just a little fine tuning. And then here's the rear elevation of the train tracks or state park south elevation. And just, again, just a little bit bigger window over here in their family room. And then some little changing it to the top over here. And the landscaping, last time one of your comments was Amy, said she wanted the landscaping to be the plant sizes and the locations and the installation to be supervised, and the applicant has agreed to have a professional there to supervise the installation of the landscaping plants. And then the colors and materials last time, this is the Swiss coffee, which the color chip on when we were here last time, it looked really faded out and more like pure white than Swiss coffee. So we've included a better chip of Swiss coffee to actually portray the darker cream color, because your comment last time was to have a darker body color. So the Swiss coffee is a darker than bright white. And then here's the renderings. And then that's portraying the exterior and more the Swiss coffee color, which is a little bit darker than the color chip you saw last time. So the summary issues tonight are the architectural style and details. The details are in your plan sets. The proposed colors and materials, including the exterior lighting, and then the overall neighborhood compatibility. And I'll just leave it at the color, because this is really the main thing tonight, is just confirming that the Swiss coffee is a dark enough color for the body.
Any questions for staff?
Cindy, just a quick question. The height is 23.8. Do you recall what the next door neighbor's height is, just offhand? Is it similar in height?
I want to say 21.8 or something like that, but this one has an existing raised foundation.
Right.
So the height is actually, the height of the actual structure is like 1.5 feet less than the 23.8. But the height down to finished grade makes it
Right.
a bigger
Okay.
number, taller. And
Right.
taller too,
All right,
because
thanks.
of the raised floor.
Anything, Lisa? I have one, just to confirm the power lines will be buried to the property?
From the street to the project, any lines serving the project, yes.
Are
Just
the-
in the immediate vicinity, not the whole street.
Yep. Is the power, there's a power pole on the corner, the west corner. Is that on your lot or the neighbor lot? It's on both. Wow.
Oh, it doesn't show up in here, the street view. Yeah. Oh, it's right here.
There's a standard that runs down on the other side of that fence. I was just curious which,
Yeah, so for this project, they would be required to bring them underground from that pole and then into the house.
thank you.
Well, that's a public works requirement, if you guys are wondering.
Anything, Richard? Okay, very good. Your opportunity to speak, I guess.
My name's Ted Meter. I'm the architect for the project. We've just provided a better color samples to give you the understanding that it's not supposed to be bright white in any way, but it's supposed to be a light color. We're not going for a tan. So, and the renderings do accurately represent what we feel the paint chip would be. We've just, as Cindy said, made minor tweaks to the windows just to better go along with kitchen layout and function and interior. We've actually reduced windows on the east side, which is the closest property line, the one facing the vacant lot. Other than that, we have changed very little, and we just ask for your final approval. Thanks. The landscape plan is, the landscaper's not here today, but we've simplified it. There's no more palms in the project. The shrubs in the back are hibiscus, and we've just removed a couple of the plants from the overall scheme.
You got to buy with Amy not here,
Yeah, I guess so. That's all. Thank you.
perhaps. I don't know, maybe there's some thoughts. Any questions for the owner and the architects?
I have one question. At the front, there's some small fixed, a row of horizontal fixed windows over the front door. Yeah. And the overhang of the roof above those is what?
The overhang of the roof above that row of windows is a 6-inch eave just jutting out just over the windows. And just below it is a false eave, 3 feet deep, that actually provides shelter to the porch below. But
Do you feel that the 6 inches is enough to protect those windows?
but the vertical distance between the two roof planes is only 18 inches. So if we come out with a 2-foot overhang, it's going to be very dark, and we won't
Right.
have
Yeah,
any
but that-
overhang at all. Would be
'cause if you're standing downstairs looking up, you're gonna be looking up at that overhang, but I'm just
It's-
wondering if it's really gonna protect the windows enough?
I mean, some people have no overhang, so I think the 6 inches will do something, but there is a bit of a mountain view as you come to the front door through those windows, so we're thinking about that.
Yeah. And Board Member Cook, if you look at the A 3.1, there's a great detail of how that clear story is going to work. Oh, yeah. In the upper left-hand corner. Or Wolf, sorry.
Close.
I got the double O in there.
Thanks.
It's,
You okay? Board- You okay? Okay. And public comment? Anyone here would like to comment on the 557 Kai Arena project? Anyone on Zoom?
No public comment on Zoom by chair.
All right, very good. So we'll bring it back to the board for comments, followed by a motion perhaps. Board Member Wolf?
I'd like to motion to approve the final review of proposal project 22-2183-CUP.
Very good. So before we look for a second, we'll see if there's any other comments. How's that? That make sense? Board Member Little?
It's looking at the color chart. See, even the Swiss coffee on the color chart just still seems a little washed out to me.
Yeah, it's
It's
Is it
hard to
just how
It's the
print.
It's the copy.
yeah,
Because
it's
I've used Swiss coffee before, and it's pretty light still.
yeah, but it's like it's a dark white.
It's a
Yeah, it was
classic-
hard to
it's a
get a color
classic
color.
chip
Yeah, I
that
know
would
it's a
like
classic
cut,
color.
paste, and like, and then after being scanned into the PDF, still look the correct color. But
Swiss copy.
Yeah, I've tried screenshots and printing those, and then using the the PDF from the manufacturer, and it never prints
yeah,
at the
Right,
right
can't.
color.
short of a color deck, it's the best we could do.
Okay.
Board Member Johnson.
The only comment I have is on that clear story window above the entry door, you've got about 6 or 8 windows across there and no post in there at all, and you've got a 20-foot span with no post carrying up a little 4x6 header. Just wondering how you're going to do that.
We do have posts now. There's a 4x6 or 3x6 between every window with a continuous header. It's on the structural too.
Is there a detail for that? Because the indication on the elevation, albeit a minor scale, shows pretty much just a back-to-back frame.
Yeah, Cindy, if you could bring up the before after of the street elevation, the proposed.
Yeah, and then also the 3x6 post shows up on that detail on A 3.1 as well.
Yeah.
Which one, the street?
The line drawings before and after. Back, that one. So in that one behind you, actually, that's not really going to illustrate the thing. There's just, it's minimized to be a 3x6. Didn't even want a 4x6. But there's about 4 inches of space between each glass, between glass on either windows.
Why would you have an 8x10 beam below those windows when it's not really spanning anything on that detail? If I'm reading the detail right. On
The
detail
6
7,
by
Sheet is
10.
3.1.
6
Just a question.
I actually don't know. That's a very good
It
question. I
says,
don't
it says
know.
6 by 10. Actually, I think it's a 6, not an 8.
Well, it doesn't need to be there. I can't explain that one, but
You might
that
wanna-
that does show a note: fixed windows with 3x6 posts.
You might want to flush
between
frame
each.
it above the little windows and you're done with it.
It does say 6
So
by
I think
10.
you're going to be having some revisions there.
Okay.
Very good. Just a couple of thoughts, at the risk of reminding the awkwardness of the last couple of meetings. I was the lone dissent. I think I referred to it as the elephant in the room. I think the elephant in the room is left. But I still feel compelled to point out the neighborhood compatibility, which is really the issue. And it goes back to all the second-story stuff that isn't really part of our purview. So I respect the decision that the board made before that. So we've had 2 reviews that the board approved, and I was in dissent. So I now support the project. And with that, we'll see if there's a second to the motion that Board Member
I'll
Wolf made.
second it.
Very good, we have a second. And we should do a roll call.
Board Member Wolf. Yes. Board Member Little.
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Connor.
Yes.
4-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Okay, so we're moving on to project number 2. Hi. This is 413 Kaidia. And, yeah, any ex parte on Kaidia?
No.
Anyone?
No, not that I know of.
Very good. So we'll turn it over to staff.
I'll wait for Brian to come back. I'm not sure. Did he say?
Elevator music or
Yeah. I can go on.
game show music? Yeah, I think we can carry on.
He he helped me out a lot with the staff report, so I think he'll know if he misses anything. All right, so this is a new one for all of you actually tonight. The D'Amato's Residence Addition and Remodel at 413 Kaidia, and this is in the Concha Loma, but it's the Carpinteria Park part of it, not the official Concha Loma, but that area. So the project is a proposal to add a total of 292 square feet of additions to an existing 2,288 square foot single-family residence, resulting in a 2,580 square foot single-family dwelling with an FAR of 34.8%. The additions would accommodate a new front bedroom, a new covered entry and porch, and a kitchen addition. The garage, right now it's side loading. It would become front loading with a new driveway. New landscaping and hardscaping would be installed. And then the plates throughout the residence would be raised to 9 feet. And the maximum height would increase from 14 feet to the maximum ridge height of 16.5 feet. And here's an aerial photo showing where the property is located. So here's Kai Pacific, and then it kind of has like a half-quarter cul-de-sac bulb here and turns into Kaidia, which runs north-south. Kai Pacific runs east-west. And it's right here in that little turn on a triangular-shaped lot. And then to the south is the railroad tracks, and then the Tar Pits State Park, and then ultimately the Pacific Ocean. So it's pretty close to the beach. And here's a street view of the house and its existing configuration. Again, you can see that side loading garage. And here's the proposed site plan. So here's the new driveway coming in off of Kaidia. A sweet gum street tree would need to be removed to accommodate the project, and Public Works is fine with that as long as they plant a new street tree. And the species will be determined at a later date. But the new driveway would be only 10 feet wide, and then it would widen up as it gets to the doors. The existing driveway would be removed. Here's the location of the new front bedroom addition. This other larger crosshatch, these are the areas of significant remodel inside. Here's the new front entry porch here, which would add square footage. And then here's the new little, it's like a little cut-in that they're just going to fill in, and that's the additional kitchen addition right over there. And here's the existing and proposed floor plan. So here you can see it's a 3-bedroom house, but the 2 of the bedrooms are very small. So they're going to rework it into a 2-bedroom house with a den. So here's a new bedroom. Here's the new addition, front bedroom. Rework the front entry hallway, add another bathroom in here. Here's the den, expand the kitchen out, and then this living area would be opened up and made more open and flowing rather than separate rooms. And then the garage, right now side loading, and here's the new garage doors front loading. And here's the east elevation, which would be the Kaidia elevation. You can see it can go from the existing house has stucco, vertical board and batten, and also horizontal lap siding. So the new proposed exteriors are the horizontal lap siding. Here's the new garage doors that are going to be like the barn door style, and then still retain some of the stucco. And then these are the new 9-foot plate heights. And in this corner of the house on the north side, a little tiny corner of the roof does get into the solar access plane. But the director was not overly concerned about that because it's just a single story structure. But you guys are welcome to comment on that if you think it's going to be an issue to the, causing shade on the neighbor to the north's property. And then here's the south elevation. This would be the ocean side stucco here, and then the lap siding. The west elevation, this is the back side of the house, all stucco back here. With some new doors coming out. And this is the north elevation. Again, here's that little corner of the roof where it infringes into the solar access plane. And then here's the addition, 14-foot high roof over the bedroom addition here, just so you guys know, to keep it like a little low from the street. And then here is the old outline of where the garage door used to be that is now going to be over on the other side, but where that's getting filled in. And then here's the east-west section through the bedroom and the new addition. So this would be the new primary bedroom here, and then the bathroom, and then the new bedroom addition with the California roof over to connect it on. And new footings here. And then the landscaping and hardscaping. So again, the elimination of all this concrete driveway here in the front yard. Be new landscaping with a little paver pathway, paver stone pathway up to the front door. And then with some trees and a little fountain for an accent. New driveway here. A little fence to hide the trash cans. A little raised garden planters, which are conveniently located right outside the kitchen for easy grabbing. And then, some improvements here. This portion of the backyard would not receive any new landscaping. And then the proposed colors and materials, again, we have that same color swatch problem. Oh, and she brought better ones. So Jill's got some to share when it's her turn, so good. It's a little, if you look up the colors online, they're actually more sagey
much
and not as
cleaner,
yellow.
The
Yeah.
actual colors, yes.
Yeah, and then with the brown roof. So the summary issues for comments tonight would be the proposed architectural style and details, the proposed colors and materials, the fencing height and locations, back to just that little fence, 6-foot fence that hides the trash cans, and then the proposed landscaping and hardscaping plan. And that concludes my presentation.
Very good, thank you, Cindy. Any questions for staff?
Cindy, could you go back to the one slide that had the solar issue? Yeah. If the increase in the height was not there, that would not be an issue, is that correct?
Correct.
Any other questions for staff? Board Member Wolf?
Nope.
I have one question. The calculation of the lot coverage, does it include the utility setbacks and the water setbacks on here in the rear and the side?
No. Oh, excuse me. The lot coverage, they are included in the area of the lot. So,
So it is in the calculation?
yes, it is accounted for.
I assumed it was.
It's not excluded from
Yeah, and you know where I go on that one. Okay, thank you. With that, I'd like to invite any presentation you'd like to make? Yeah.
And then scooch it up a little bit.
My name is Jill Ratkovich. I'm the architect. I have my clients, the D'Amatos, with me. They bought this property 20 years ago with the intention of retiring here, becoming community members and living here for the rest of their lives. leaving it to their children. Basically, it's sort of a beauty makeover form. It's got a variety of styles, multiple plate heights, roof slopes, floor elevations, and exterior finishes. So we're trying to give it actually a sense of style rather than, you know, going for the craftsman beach cottage look. Something that'd be a little more timeless than the track look that they have right now. I mean, it does look like a dated 50s style house, which to some people might be charming, but to most people looks from the 50s, looks dated. Reasoning for raising the plate height really is because, like Cindy said, we're opening up all the rooms so that the living, dining, kitchen is one big room. The 8-foot ceiling, the sense of it is really low when you start opening these rooms up. Right now, the rooms are all very small, rather dark. We felt adding 1 foot to the height of the building. Even with that 1 foot, we might be still clipping the solar a little bit if we had not done that, but we really felt like it was a minimal thing we were asking for, but it makes a huge improvement on the inside of the house as far as light and spaciousness and not feeling like this track little 50s style cottage, which it was, and they're trying to just make it a little more modern, a little brighter, sunnier, all the way around, you know, more comfortable to live in, which is the reason for raising the height. Otherwise, we're, you know, trying to be consistent with all new windows, new roof, new siding. There is a little settlement in the back. We're the closest to the ocean, so we do have a soils report already. We will be doing some structural upgrading to the footings there to resolve that also. A lot of deferred maintenance. It's been a rental, so since it was built in the 50s, it shows some of these things just need repairing, need, you know, modern redo. So that's really our proposal. Not adding a lot, creating more of a courtyard feeling. Felt it made a huge improvement by eliminating that driveway, all that paving. I mean, now it's just like what some of the things you read about this neighborhood, an inviting entry. You can, if you saw from those photos, cars are blocking the entry. Can't even really tell where the front door is. So a trellis, a porch you can sit on, a little bit of more privacy because of the second wing of the bedroom that comes out. Just all the way around, I feel an improvement on the function of the building and also the aesthetics from the street. One of the photos, which you will see here, shows how much that street is buckling because of that tree. And so I thought, don't mind adding another tree, but you'll be able to see this one where it says damaged sidewalk. You can see how the one section is really lifted from the roots. And I don't think that that's something that can be solved without tearing it out and adding. If you look down right here, the third row down. Oh, no, you're on landscape. If you look at the photos on page A5, right before that. It is two A4s, but that one, you can see where the sidewalk's been lifted because of that tree. Big hazard there right now.
If I may, it's also, the roots have been a problem with the sewer line for many years.
And that's up to you to fix, right?
Of course.
Well, you're not gonna do it. Well, it's gonna affect the city part.
We pay taxes.
Very good.
I'm sorry.
Are you done?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm done. Unless there's questions.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Could you explain the trellis over the front entry? I don't see it on the plan or the section through there.
Yeah, we'll have more information once we get into construction drawings, but we do want to have sort of an open trellis, a little bit of cover, so if someone wants to sit on the front porch, like the previous applicant, we don't want to make it too dark in there. And so I think we're thinking more of an open trellis. If we do put some covering on it, I'd like to keep it, you know, as light as possible because we just don't want to make it another dark entry, which is what they have right now. But because the span is not that great between the two wings, I don't think we need any posts in between. I think that we can clear span from garage to the new bedroom to support the trellis. Again, keeping it as open as possible without posts in the middle.
Well, a couple posts in the middle makes it charming, too. Looks like it's about 18 feet. Okay, just to repeat it, I don't think a couple of posts in the middle would be or not in the middle, but, you know,
Somewhere.
couple on each side, adjacent to the wings of the other building, wouldn't be objectionable at all. Thank you.
Any other questions? Board Member Little?
Yes, in looking at A2, are all of the rooms going to be sloped ceilings?
No, the dining and living, they're pretty much identified. The new bedroom, the dining and the living room will be the volume, the slope vaulted ceilings. The other will be flat ceilings, which is another reason for the 9-foot plate. Just because, again, the rooms are bigger than they were. It's going to feel more enclosed with an 8-foot ceiling. We'd like to get a little more space in there, a little more volume, without going to every room with a vaulted ceiling.
So the living room and the dining room,
And the new bedroom. I think the
New
floor plan
bedroom.
shows the rooms that do slope.
right, I see that. But the kitchen will be a flat ceiling then,
Kitchen will be flat,
and the other bedroom will be flat?
yes.
Okay.
I have an issue with kitchens and volumes anyway, just because you don't know where to end your cabinets, and it ends up being dead space up above and dust collector, so, but I feel like 8 foot is really low in a sense. And that way you could do soffits above, cabinets and still have a sense of height in there.
Good, Richard?
Yeah, that's it.
Board Member Wolf?
I think Jill, I think it looks like a nice design.
Thank you.
I have one little thing that I always wonder about, and that is now that you've got the beautiful entryway, and you've got, it looks like a little step and a little porch going up to that little front entryway. Does that second window to the right, is that, if some little neighbor is coming around and looking in there, is it looking directly into a bathroom?
Well, the window's looking into a doorway, yes. If that door is open, you're going to see a sink in there. Hopefully, you don't have neighbors
Okay.
peering about, into your windows.
They're not my neighbors.
A neighbor
My
or a
neighbors come
solicitor.
in and do that, but that's my only thing with the design. I think it's a nice design. I just, sometimes neighbors and people are a little nosy,
Good catch.
And if they want to look at the sink,
and they want to or whoever's stepping out of the shower, whatever it is,
yeah.
so it's just something, like if you would
It is-
consider altering the door just a tiny bit one way or the other.
Well, it is the guest, or not even a guest bath. Each bedroom has its own bathroom, so it's really a leftover
Guest.
bathroom that will
Sure.
be used. The toilet and sink will be used, but not so much the shower, probably.
Or maybe consider just frosting that window.
No. Anyway, it's good design, thanks.
Thank you.
Very good. I just have one thought, a bit of a broken record, over on A4. As the driveway comes in where that tree is being removed, does that pole get removed also?
No, pole there's the street sign is being removed, the power pole stays.
And is the power coming from that pole to your house?
Yes, and I would imagine it will be undergrounded. I'm sure they're going to
Yeah,
require
right.
that because of the size of this remodel.
Be wonderful if that pole went down.
It would be for everyone.
Right. It's going to be tight on the driveway there, I think, isn't it?
A little bit. I mean, the curb cut's typically 10 feet, so. And if transportation has an issue, I think we have some flexibility.
It looks like it's in
Excuse
that
me.
water easement. Anyway, so, okay. That's all I had. Public comment, I think, is next. Anybody here to speak to the Kayadea property? Anybody on Zoom?
Thank you, Patrick. Nobody on Zoom at this time.
Very good. I will bring it back for comment from the board. Mr. Johnson?
I would just comment that due to the massiveness of the garage facing the street compared to the nice little gable ends that are common on the house that face the street in the corner there, it'd be nice to break up that long elevation with a little trellis above the garage door or something like that
Okay.
to get some animation, shadow lines, play of light a little bit. And maybe even an ornamental opening in the gable up there, which you can't do in a high fire, but you did it over here on a side street, so that's okay, a side elevation, so some false decoration up there.
Something.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Board Member Wolf, any comments? Nope. You're good? Board Member Little?
Usually when we see plans of people coming in, they want to add bedrooms, and this is probably one of the first ones I've seen where they've reduced the number of bedrooms. So I found that somewhat interesting.
They were just so small.
Right, I understand that. I like the idea of remodeling, updating it, because so many of the homes in that area are just the same basic cookie cut type, and even that particular model, you see it throughout that particular neighborhood. So it'd be nice to see some variation in the neighborhood. So that'd be nice. I was going to ask Amy, since she is our landscape specialist, but I noticed that in the trees you have an acacia or two. My experience with acacia trees is they don't last more than 10 years. Yeah, I've planted 6, and 5 of them have died within 10 years. And in talking to the grower that I got them from, it says, well, you're in a coastal zone, and these are Australian-based trees, and they just get too much water. So you may want to take a look at that, or maybe when Amy's back here, she'll be able to add a little more comments on that.
And board member, we could even do a blend of the two and ask Amy, Cindy can ask Amy for some feedback ahead of this project returning.
Sure. Okay. And my only concern about the 9-foot ceilings, a lot of times the 8-foot ceilings with the vaulted ceilings is plain sufficient as far as the volume and all. So we're basically only talking about 8-foot ceilings being beneficial for the bedroom and the kitchen. And I think the kitchen, actually having cathedral ceilings in there would be a nice addition as well. I've seen a lot of kitchens with the elevated and in the kitchens, and to me at least, it's a nice effect. And you could even put a skylight in there to help brighten it up as well. So those are just my comments.
Very good. I just have a couple thoughts. I think it's a really nice change, nicely done. All the objectives to update it really looks nice for the neighborhood. So I think all the findings with respect to compatibility certainly are met. I do have, the sort of consistent position that I've taken on wagging the finger at ourselves as a city and a board by counting unbuildable square footage in the lot calculations. So in this case, the easements related to the utility are not really buildable space. And I don't think this property creates a problem, but others do. So I'll be a consistent voice for reasonable calculations of density related to buildable square footage. And this is just another example where the oddities of Carpinteria properties, come into play. So other than that, I'm certainly supportive. And I would like to put in, well, I think we should actually go for a motion, and then I'll make my last comment. So does anybody like to make a motion on this project?
Sure, I'll make a motion for approval as submitted with comments.
Yeah, and I'd like to add a comment. First of all, I guess we'll see if
I'll
there's a
second it.
second. Yeah, sorry. So we have a motion and a second. I'd like to make a comment back to the point about the landscape input and I don't know if it's appropriate to say condition, but I'd really like to get Amy's input, Board Member Blakemore's input, particularly because that's such an important feature of what's going on in the front. And she's our, expert landscaping, so.
What we can do, Vice Chair, is just say, approval with condition to request review of chosen tree species with Chair Blakemore.
Perfect.
Does that work? Okay.
So with that comment, we'll take a roll call.
Board Member Wolf.
Yes.
Board Member Little.
Yes.
Board Member Johnson.
Aye.
Vice Chair O'Connor.
Yes,
Okay, 4-0. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
nice job.
Thank you.
All right.
I think we're gonna,
Yeah, it's gonna take me a second.
we'll take just a couple of minutes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sophomore.
How are you?
You know, this is good wrapping paper.
Yeah, I actually sent it to my, wrapped Christmas presents to my nieces and nephews.
When I was at the county, that's what we used to.
Old plans.
Yeah, well, I can't tell the architects that copyright is protected or, yeah. Man, I just put-
backside and use potato stamps.
I just blew it.
Just turn it inside out. Yeah, my daughter's on spring break right now.
Touch this.
But she's staying. Her boyfriend's visiting. They went to Boston.
So they both liked the school?
Huh?
They both liked Santa Barbara High?
My kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, they loved it. Yeah. My son ran.
All right, you give me the go, acting chair, and I will go.
Yes, forgive me.
No, no worries.
So we'll move on to agenda item 3, and this is the 686 Linden Avenue project, and involves the Little Dom's patio, Central Business District, visitor serving commercial overlay zoning of 686 Linden Avenue. Fire away.
All right. Well, I know we all know Little Dom's, well loved. Location, destination in our downtown core. Project before you today is for approval of a private parklet, we're calling them these days, to differentiate the dining patio areas that are on the property versus the public parklets, which are the ones that certain business owners are now doing out in the public right away. So we have a outdoor dining patio project for you today. The patio area is approximately 830 square feet in size. It would be located at the southern side of the existing restaurant building, which is now functions as a drive aisle. It would consist of an at-grade chip seal surface, so basically just taking the existing AC pavement area and beautifying it. To represent the new dining patio area. Would include a string of hooded lights over the proposed new dining patio area. As currently designed, it would include 6-foot fencing and bifold gates along the Linden frontage. That would basically function, the fencing would function to secure the dining patio after business hours, and then also to create in the leftover drive aisle and previous parking area to create essentially a storage area for for the restaurant use. Also included along the northern section of the property, along the 7th Street frontage, would be 6-foot vehicular entry gates to just close that off. That would no longer function as that L-shaped, pull-through drive aisle anymore in parking. So it would make sense to close that off, and also, again, to secure the storage area. And some very minor planting changes. The existing planters would remain and just be refurbished with some new plant species within the existing planters. In terms of the setting itself, it's approximately 7,000 square foot lot with approximately 3,374 square foot building. And as previously described, and I'm sure your board is all aware of the layout there, with drive aisles, L-shaped drive aisle that surrounds the south and east part of the existing building. The restaurant building itself does date back to, over 100 years, so it is eligible for listing as a city historic resource. That analysis was previously done about 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, when the project, that was when you took over, right, Warner? When the project came through at that time for some window changes in paint and that sort of thing. So the historic analysis was performed at that time. For those changes, the proposed project would have no impact on the historic integrity of the building because it's a patio that could easily be removed, fencing that could easily be removed. So there's no proposed changes to the building, form of the building itself, or materials of the building. So we have no concerns from a historic perspective. As Vice Chair O'Connor mentioned, we are in the central business zone with the visitor serving commercial overlay. And we'll take you here through to site photos. These are somewhat outdated, but still represent the location. So you can see here, there's some existing fencing that's up that creates that kind of storage area behind. This is relatively close approximation to the footprint of the proposed dining patio area. Another view looking kind of in the northeast direction here. So this would be all rejuvenated. These planters, there are planters hiding underneath there, and so those would be planted with a few different species of low tolerant kind of succulent type species. Interior view looking to the west, so of the storage area, you can see why it's fenced off. It's used for storing. Here at the eastern part of the building, so this is at the 7th Street frontage with the pizza annex part here, and this is proposed to essentially, these gates are unpermitted, so we would validate those by approval of this project. I mean, essentially, this project is a gate and fence project because there's no grading, no. I don't even know if you need a building permit for this project because, and those are string lights, those are plug-in lights. Maybe you'll need an electrical if you, so it's very straightforward in terms of the project. Again, here in site plan, form of the existing building, 7th Street, gates being proposed, vehicular gates. Linden, this would be obviously the patio area here that's hatched out. As currently proposed, again, 6-foot fence with bifold gates here to secure the dining patio area. On the east side of the patio is a 6-foot proposed 6-foot fence similar to what's there now. And then this is like staff access area and little guardrail. New replacement, essentially, there's employee bicycle racks now. Those would be replaced with new bicycle racks in the secure area of the site now, as well as adding public bicycle rack here at the corner. There's some racks there now. These would supplement those, and the applicant would work with our public works team, much like we've done with the other private parklets, dining patios. We're asking for new bicycle racks to replace the parking spaces that are lost. This project is taking advantage of AB 2097. That's that state law that allows that prohibits the city from requiring parking both for commercial and residential uses if within 1/2 mile of the Amtrak station. So they are allowed. to essentially eliminate the parking, but in order to conform to the Coastal Commission's guidelines and not impact visitor serving or coastal parking, since we are down by the beach, the city has consistently been requiring some sort of mitigation for the loss of parking, such as employee bicycle racks, transportation demand management, those types of things. So the project does comply with AB 2097 in that regard, and again would feature the 4 secured bicycle racks and then additional public racks on the. Well, we'll figure out with Public Works. It seems like that's the best location there in the little bulb out along 7th Street. In terms of materials, again, very straightforward. So there's a Montecito blend or a kind of earth tone chip seal color that would replace the existing asphalt surface there. We do have to keep this area open. Originally, the project was proposed with like a raised wood deck, but we ran into issues with the sanitary district, and so therefore it was revised to just keep it as a at-grade surface. Here you can see the proposed hooded string lights, which is something that the city's, much like the 700 Linden project, we're requesting for our dark sky compliance or neighborhood compatibility for the string lights to be hooded, which these are, and those would meet all the city's requirements. Here's our elevation along 7th Street. You can see existing building here, new 6-foot vehicular gates at that rear drive aisle, painted in a maroon color to match that portion of the building. On the Linden frontage side, same design, 6-foot with bifold gates here this time in a maroon color. As referenced in the staff report, or discussed in the staff report, the director and I, kind of sat down and looked at this, and we're concerned with some of the policies that relate to neighborhood compatibility and the downtown core and pedestrian friendly nature and so forth. What we're hoping that the applicant could consider is, instead of 6-foot fences here, most important is that Linden frontage. So if there was an opportunity to reduce that, much like we have in other businesses in the downtown T, to a lower fence in that location that would still secure the, kind of prevent trespass, and then have your 6-foot fence. So essentially swap what's designed now, where we have like the 42-inch fence behind the 6-foot fence, and perhaps, swap those. So much like you'd see in other dining patios in the downtown T, segregated, clearly public versus private areas. But in terms of compatibility, we kind of surveyed around the neighborhood. There's really not 6-foot fences for businesses, and especially down on Linden. So that was a concern of the director, and again, to comply with our neighborhood compatibility policies as expressed in the staff report. So that's essentially what we're asking, staff's asking for today, is your deliberation on the fencing. We're completely in support of the project and the dining patio concept, and the use of AB 2097, and all of those things are fine. But there is concern about making the finding here that's in the municipal code that the design and materials of the fence is compatible with adjacent property fences in the surrounding neighborhood. So essentially, that's what we're here for. As we discussed, the parking, as currently proposed, it would require 40 parking spaces. 29 spaces are already provided by a credit in Lot 3, that historic credit that had been paid into. So as a result of the project, we're losing 4 spaces, which were previously not really used, but were allocated or previously approved for the project, and then increasing by 7 to make up for the new patio area. But again, applicant has that ability to use AB 2097 to remove those parking spaces. So in summary, we'd like your feedback here, and it is on for preliminary and final. It's a very straightforward project, so we don't want to make this overly complicated, but we did want to get your feedback on the layout, colors, materials, lighting, and landscape design, the fencing design and arrangement, and the overall compatibility. And that's it for me.
Very good, thank you. Any questions from the board to staff? Board
Sure, I
Member
have
Johnson.
What's the poor little trash guy do?
Goes the same way on 7th. The gates on 7th would be open all day long.
Doesn't he pull a truck in there?
No.
So those are, those are vehicular gates, so you can still get vehicles. I don't think the trash truck would pull in there, yeah.
No, trash truck, we don't allow to pull in there because it breaks up the asphalt. So he wheels out, he pulls up, and he wheels out. Gianfranco's, I allow them to wheel their trash through, so it's the same path of travel. That doesn't change.
Yeah, they need that access for sure.
Yeah.
Board Member Wolf.
Staff, I'm curious, so obviously this was an area that had access for emergency vehicles to put out kitchen fires, things like that. Is that part of something you look at?
Yeah, Board Member Wolf, we send, anytime a project comes in, development plan, coastal development permit, what have you, we send it through our agency and special district review. So the fire department's reviewed it.
Already gave it a thumbs up?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member Little.
I think my comments will probably be addressed better by the applicant opposed to staff, so I'll pass at this point.
I've just got a couple of questions. Is the intent of this patio, or is it intended for the patio to replace the seating that's on the sidewalk today? So that's going to continue?
Correct, I
Okay.
have a permit for that.
Yeah, so those are separate,
That's totally.
totally separate issues. Very good. The chip seal, does that require taking the asphalt out and affecting the grade?
No.
So if the grade's good and the chip seal just replaces the asphalt?
Yeah, that's the first step of chip seal, is to put
Yeah,
asphalt
just-
down.
Well, you're not taking up the existing?
No.
Okay,
No, they just go right over top.
the top.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Very good. I got a couple other ones, but it's probably best at the time we go to you. So I think we're good with questions for staff. Very good. And now we'll turn it over to the applicant.
Okay. What?
It's your opportunity to speak to the project.
Oh, yeah, so.
You might want to just, like, what was the inspiration for this? Why you're here?
I mean, the inspiration was for losing the parklet, like being able to have that seating. I mean, I predict that this is primarily seasonal. Summertime months, probably May through September, and then the Avocado Fest in October, and then I kind of see it then being used as needed basis. Somebody wants to have a birthday party with 35 people on Saturday, daytime, they can have it there. So it's not something that would be open every day of the week, 365 days of the year. We just don't, there's not that type of business in Carpinteria. So it would probably be summertime use and for Avocado Fest, Rod and Roses, that kind of stuff.
Any questions for the applicant?
I've been by several restaurants, walking by the grease traps and all, and there's quite an odor coming up from some of those. Is there an issue with the grease trap on yours?
Well, so that grease trap was new. I put that in when we did the remodel 4 and a half years ago, and I think I was told to put in 900 gallons, and I put in 1,500.
Oh, okay.
It's a fairly new grease trap. There shouldn't be.
Yeah, and it's concrete, and you can drive on it. It's a traffic rated, and we pump it, I think, every 3 months.
Okay.
And there's obviously going to be a smell when you pump it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Unavoidable.
Yeah.
Hopefully not while people are in attendance.
Yeah, we haven't had any problems with that grease trap. or the
Okay.
smell. The lid's new, all the seals are good, so.
Okay. And then the tables and chairs that you're going to have in that area, are they going to be more of a portable type of a thing? Or
Yeah,
are they going to be
just
kind
like
of
the tables I have in
cheesy?
the front that I bring in, they're just mahogany slab tables.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same patio furniture I have, the red plastic chairs and the mahogany tables.
Okay. And on the, I noticed that on the fence on 7th Street, where the gates will be going, it's kind of leaning,
A delivery truck from the new, like a construction truck from the new project backed into it. And so,
so is that going to be repaired before
yeah,
you
the
put in the
neighbor,
gates?
the neighbor behind me is dealing with them about it, what they're gonna do, because they saw it happen one day. But yeah, that'll all be fixed anyway.
Okay,
Yeah. It's just that end piece, and it kind of creased the pole,
right.
holds it. And those doors will remain open when we're open, those gates, and on trash day, for sure, like, we have to have them picked up,
Okay.
so. It's mainly closing it at night. I mean, it's gotten a little better, but COVID-wise, we had a lot of kind of homeless issues going on in the back there. And so it was a thing that we had to deal with a lot, or, daily at some points.
Okay. And the final question I had is, do you have currently employees that actually bike to work?
Yeah, I mean, I have a bunch of employees that live in town, and they walk as well.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good.
I guess the question with those bike racks, Brian, is that in that, the two now that are there are parallel to the building, because otherwise trash cans can't get
Yeah.
through, kind of right there. It's hard for the trash cans.
Yeah, well, so staff's, we're 1-for-1 replacing the number of parking spaces. So, I mean, we're trying to be consistent with the coastal committee. They sent like a 12-page memo to
Yeah.
each of the jurisdictions that say how to implement AB 2097 in the coastal zone, especially when you're close to the beach like this. So we've kind of said, okay, if we can't require parking spaces, but we need to make sure that we, are mindful of the parking issues that we have in our beach neighborhood. Let's try to promote as many bicycles as we can. So the arrangement of it, you can
Just
move
as long as
those.
there's four.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can move those however that functions best for you and the employees.
Great. And
In,
also the bike rack that's on the bulb out, we just have to make sure that doesn't encroach into my permitted outdoor table that's on that side right there.
So what we're doing with those is we're asking you to work with Public Works staff to come up with whatever,
Okay.
spacing requirements, work.
Right.
I know that there's one that's kind of semi-mobile. It seems like it comes and goes at that corner, or it has over time, a city rack.
There was a trash can too.
Yeah, there was a trash can. So these are the kind of things that, we want to do through the encroachment process and make sure that there's some sort of semblance of order and color and, just
And is
try
that
to
the
keep promoting that.
Same design as what goes on the New Linden project, those bike racks?
There's like a stirrup version and there's like a U. The city is trying to go towards a uniform like standard so that, and it doesn't have to be the exact same rack, but maybe 2 or 3 different options. So there's kind of uniformity through town. So we'll let you work with Public Works on the right location and design.
Board Member Wolf,
Before we go to discussion, or you're still in
we're
questions?
still in questions,
Got
I
it.
think, yeah.
I just was wondering about if you had any comments about the fence height. Staff was considering maybe 6 feet wasn't the appropriate height, and I'm just wondering why, or what do you have to say?
I mean, I knew that the 6 feet was the code, so I just went with that. I'm okay with it being shorter. I mean, what I don't want is people to be able just to hop over it when it's closed. So maybe 5 feet is the answer, or 4'6". I don't really know. I mean, I don't like tall fences either. So
So what I did is just do a quick, kind of like, this is kind of, I think, what the intent of the policy is, the design policy, something in that. So this isn't 5, this is more like 4. So we don't want to prevent a property owner from securing their, property from trespass, right? And so I think a visual, some some use like a low wall and landscaping to do that, or to clearly define like the public space from the business's space. And we're all about that and want to support that. But especially, being that frontage, I think the 7th Street gate issue was less. We were hoping maybe it can be brought in more to the bollards or something like that, but I don't think we die on the sword for the 6 foot there along 7th Street. We would along Linden, I think. I think a 6 foot wood fence in that area of town would look out of place, and that was the director's concern. So if we can come to a compromise that the board and the property owner and the architect feel comfortable with, we'll get it back, because this doesn't go to planning commission. This is director decision. So we're looking for your comments, and ultimately it's going to be Nick's decision. So if there's a compromise that can be had, where you can provide that kind of, clear delineation, but get it lower than 6 feet, and, probably 5, I wouldn't guess is going to be enough to, make that work. But, that's why we're here. It really is. I mean, the project itself is pretty straightforward. It's just that it really boils down to the Linden fence.
Ryan, the upper left one, is that Rincon?
Correct.
How high is that? Because that's not, it's like 36 or 42 inches?
Probably 42. And probably similar with the art center.
Right.
Carry on.
I think the fact that you have said, the applicant has said that this will not be in use all year round. It means it's going to be stacked tables and storage and heaters smashed up against a wall. In my opinion, nobody walking down Linden needs to see that. And so I don't mind the tall wall, the tall fence, so that it's not an eyesore, people wondering, what is this that's abandoned here? Where is all of the people that are supposed to be sitting here?
Right.
What terrible place is this?
Right.
What's it doing here? So, and we see that sometimes over at, I think it's Esau's, or, and you're just kind of going, what is this? And so, anyway, that's my opinion of.
Yeah, and I think
something that's-
we'll get into discussion, comments
Okay, that's later.
after public comment. But just to specify, and I think that's one of the things is, this is all going to be designated as storage. So that was kind of the whole, I think, idea is that all of that stuff now that because you don't have to provide parking anymore and all that drive off because the state said you can't require it, that frees up the business owner to have a lot more flexibility with storage and those kind of things by designating that as the storage area. So I think that's what staff and the director were trying to get at was, you've got all this great area back there to store and screen and nobody can see it, and, go do all your storage back there, and let's keep the Linden frontage more pedestrian, oriented. That was kind of the point.
Board Member Johnson, you already going?
Are we doing comments yet?
Not yet. If we're almost done with questions, I have a couple. Back over to the 7th Street side, there's a storage container back in there, where the bike
Yeah.
racks are shown. And it looks like it's fairly permanent. It's painted to match the siding. Is that staying?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's what next down on that area a little bit with the bike rack this away versus that away.
Yeah, but I mean, I could put 2 more bike racks parallel like they are now, just towards that door that we don't go in and out of.
Yeah, it's just not on the drawing, is all I'm saying.
Right.
The other question is, and maybe I understand a little bit better now that we talked more about the traps, but walking through there's a cleaning area next to the traps.
Yeah, it'll be covered by the fence. That's where we are mat
Okay.
cleaning.
Yeah, because it looks like it's flipped over that square. It looks like it's the
Yeah, I missed you
cleaning
today.
area.
Missed you today.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, sorry. I should have said ex parte up front.
Oh,
I did go to the property and I spoke to the neighboring business who's here today, and I did speak to your general manager.
correct.
So I did walk through the property.
But yeah, so we don't want customers to see the shed that has the water heater, and
Yeah.
chemical closet, and the mat cleaning. So that's That's the right side of the shed. So that's all fenced off by design.
Gotcha.
And then I think you had another question when you asked my manager, egress to the patio is just from the street. You don't go through the restaurant.
Yeah, and that's what I assumed, and the pathway there between the taller fence and the shorter fence that's service.
That's service.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's service.
Other question, we breezed by it, but the lighting overhead, how high is that? And how do you get the poles on the neighboring property? You're gonna have to that fence is pretty low.
I mean, that fence is 6 feet.
6 feet
Right.
That's a 6 foot high. I was just gonna put
Just
posts.
put a post up
Yeah,
and,
put a post up.
so
yeah.
9 feet or
Yeah,
something?
9 feet and bring it back to the building. And there's actually already power.
There
in that
is.
left corner that's switched and everything. It's part of the exterior lighting that's on the building.
Right, and there's another one kind of right near the offset from the grease thing too. There's a little GS CGI
Yeah,
or whatever
but the
it
one
is.
up top on the corner, and.
Oh, there's
that
one up
linear-
high.
Yeah, that's for all the outdoor lighting. So that's switched and on a timer already.
Very good. Thank you. So with that, no more questions for the applicant?
Public comment?
Public comment? Anybody here would like to speak, please? Come on up. Well, you can speak to that if you push the button and look for the green
And
light.
then before you
there.
go, I'm going to give you a little public comment slip to fill out.
Okay. Well, thank you for hearing us. Thank you, Werner, for allowing the gate to be open. It's very, very, very necessary for both of us, of course. Was a little concerned with the bike racks being there, though, and then your storage container, but those are going to be moved just to make it easier for the trash people, and I mean, not us.
Yes,
We don't do that, right? Those trash cans get pretty heavy, and they're
If
hard.
there's anything in the way they don't want to pick up, they
Yeah.
no excuse to not get out of their truck.
We've had to call them several times to say, why'd you pick it up? Well, blah, 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 something was in the way.
Yeah.
So we appreciate your cooperation with that. Question on the flooring that you're gonna put there. You said it's just gonna come on top of the asphalt?
Yeah, it's called chip seal. So what they do
Mm-hmm.
is they put like a hot layer on top of the asphalt,
Mm-hmm.
heats everything up, and then they put it and it sticks. It's used everywhere primarily on driveways
Mm-hmm.
and roads that want gravel on inclines.
Okay. Wondering, how high is that going to be?
It won't change the grade. It won't change the grade. There won't
Oh.
be a step.
No,
It's flat.
it's pretty flat? Only because you know how it rains really hard sometimes?
Yeah.
And
And
if
it would
there's,
get into our building.
yeah, it might go over the curb.
No, we have
again.
that, I put that curb there by design, so.
Right.
Yeah, I
Because your
know.
concern was
Yeah,
water,
I remember we talked about that.
and so we put the curb.
Yeah,
there,
it's
so-
basically, you can think about instead of like if you were going to repave, and just, or slurry seal.
Oh, okay.
This is kind of like a slurry seal, and then they rolled like this gravel down and they compact it. So it's still really the same pavement underneath, but it gives it a little bit of traction and color. It looks a little nicer than just the black pavement. But it has no, thickness.
real
It's
height
not
to it
like,
then.
right, it's not like pavers or anything like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you propose to clean that? Because, people get messy, blah, blah, blah. Are you guys gonna mop it, wash it
No,
down?
it can just be washed down or.
Yeah. Because washing down, it's not supposed to go into the gutter. or
Well,
the
we
s-
don't, as long as we don't use soap, it's fine.
Well, the only problem that we have
Here.
sometimes, I'm sorry. The only problem that we have sometimes at night is that I know that most of the time you're very busy, and we understand that. But sometimes, most of the time, your crew starts washing all that dirt that they have there, and it comes down towards us, and it smells really bad. And I think a couple of times we heard that the city had come over to see that.
You've called multiple times on me. You've called multiple.
No, I am so sorry. We haven't called at all. Even if you think that we have, you're wrong, because we don't. But that's why we're bringing it down to you. We don't have to be calling the city to let you know. I can, I can talk to you and tell you what's going on. I don't have to go behind your back. There's
So-
no need.
so
You've been a
just-
wonderful person. You have allowed us to take our trash out. Why would we have to be, complaining about you? But we're not the only ones. Remember, there's a lot of people there around there. So you always blame us. but
So
the truth
just
is
as a
not.
point of order, I think this should be addressed to the board. the
I'm sorry,
comments, and
sir.
as-
My,
but
well, he was talking to me, so I was
I'm
responding.
glad there's an opportunity for discussion, but
Exchange
Be appropriate.
among neighboring business owners is good, so.
Yeah.
But we do want to, make sure that within the purview of this board, that we have the comments that relate to the architectural design, albeit, the pavement is that's a part of the discussion, so I think that's a valid comment, and that I've recorded that, and if there's something that the city can do to, remedy any kind of existing situations, then the city's happy to do that.
Yeah, we do appreciate it, and like we've been telling him right here, that we appreciate all of you hearing us because it's a two-way street. We're the neighbors, and we try not to bother them at all. There have been times where I have gone to the kitchen for certain things that have happened, but that's where it ends. Because I know he has to run a business, we do too, but we don't want water running down at night because you can smell it the following day because of the sun. And it doesn't smell very well. And I'm just trying to tell you, not to make you look bad, but the many times that he claims that we have called the city, we have never done it. We have come directly to him, or I go and knock when we have a problem to talk to somebody at the building. But we do want to thank you for all your help.
Yeah. Thank you for the comments, and we have had that same comment come up with another business, and rinsing of mats and stuff, and that is something that our public works folks could try to help out with, and that's something that staff was happy to have that discussion with you and follow up on that and see if there's anything that the city can do to.
yeah, it's really a code matter as opposed to A or B.
Correct. Right.
Appreciate the opportunity to talk about it, and I think the city's taken the notes to address that through
And
the
we do
proper
appreciate it,
channel.
and we do
Yeah.
appreciate the fact that he has been very helpful in things like our trash can, because it has to be removed. And we've told you that many times. But when there is a complaint, unfortunately, because at the beginning there was a misunderstanding with him, we get the blame for it, which is not true. Because he's been very nice to us. Why would we have to go behind his back and start talking about him? Or coming complaining to the city? If you look in your
Understood.
books, we have never complained to the city.
Duly noted. No complaints, and we longtime business owners. We want you guys to have a good working relationship, and we're going
Absolutely.
to continue to promote
And
that.
if I'm wrong, I apologize.
That's all right. We want to get along with you. And
If you could just fill out your
And the other thing, great, you're going to put lighting there, which is wonderful, and you're going to put poles at,
tell-
you're going to put, you're going to have poles, right, to carry the lighting over. Of course, the poles are going to be, you plan on putting them on the curb?
I'll probably put them on the curb.
On the curb, okay, yeah, okay, good deal. What else? Glad to hear you're not going to tear up the parking lot. I was worried about that. Oh my God, it's going to get dust and everything. That's good. That's really good.
and we wish you a lot of luck.
Yeah. The fencing, we were concerned about the fence, but thank you for keeping that open. Prescriptive easement and all that, but we appreciate that. Thank you. What else? Anything
I
else?
think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we appreciate it. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And
Thanks for coming.
again, if there's things that the city can do through enforcing our municipal codes and stuff, the city will absolutely do that.
Thank you both. Okay, so any more public comment on Zoom?
Thank you, Vice Chair O'Connor. No public comment on Zoom.
Very good. So we'll bring it back to the board for comments. Board Member Johnson.
I agree with staff that I think the street edge fencing should be lower. It's much more inviting to sit inside this area and look out and see the open space and see people walking on by, and the same thing with people walking on by looking in there, say, oh, there's a place to sit, as opposed to a 6-foot-high wall saying you can't go in there, there's chickens in there, or something like that. So that's one thing. The overhead lighting, I think, is a fine idea. 12 inches on center might be a little bit much. Could be like 24-inch down center might be enough. The note says 10 lights per 10 foot of wire, so you don't want to overlight that area, I don't think. Some additional landscaping, maybe some appropriately Italian cypress, might be some potted plants in there, might be kind of nice to get some vertical planting in there to make it a little bit more charming, break up the masonry wall and the wall next door and all that kind of thing. I was concerned about the grease trap aroma, but now that you're going to fence that off and have it sealed, that's probably takes care of that. And the landscaping and the planters, just low agave, maybe you want to get something a little bit more happy flowers in there or something like that.
I mean, the landscaping there currently is Matilla hot poppies and rosemary. So it's
Oh, rosemary, bees.
very nice and established. These are good.
Good for Italian food.
These are good. We actually use it to cook.
And I think the paving is fine. Control the runoff, I guess, is the old phrase, and work out the bicycles thing, and you'll be home free. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Board Member Wolf.
The whole design looks great. I think it's going to be wonderful.
Thank you.
Is there a solution that you can imagine that might help with the cleaning up at night?
We have a mat washing station, so they wash the mats in that mat washing station that goes directly into the grease interceptor. So if it's water that's just being hosed off, we don't use soap. We've had the city come out and tell us what we can and can't do, and we follow the rules as much as we can, so.
Toxic waste.
Yeah. Yeah. We can clean with water. There's no, from what the city's told me, you can hose down as much as you want out there as long as there's no soap or detergent in it. So. And the mats don't make it onto the ground out there. The mats go into the mat washing station.
So there's no other deodorizer or anything like that can be applied
We can't.
into the project? I mean, the cleanup phase outdoors.
No, I mean, it goes on the mat washing, it gets degreased in there, and that's where it is.
Yeah, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is really a code matter, not a ARB matter.
Yeah.
So I think as long as there's code enforcement,
Thank you.
we're in good shape. Board Member Little.
Certainly the kind of the updating of the landscaping would be nice, because the kind of the boxed hedge there and all, it's kind of dated, and I think bringing it down and having the lower fence out front there also would be much more appealing, because as you walk by now, it's kind of like run down, and it's basically just a driveway at this point. So I think having the new surface will be a great improvement, and a lower fence, similar to what other eateries in the city use, would be more of an attractive type of a thing. And I guess the other question I had, and I probably should have asked this earlier, is how are people going to know where they're supposed to be checking in to get seating, or are they just kind of there and it's going to be somebody monitoring that area?
I mean, I haven't really thought about that in the sense, I think we would just kind of do it as the parklet. People always check in at the host stand, like in the summer, the host stand's
Just right
outside
out
of the
front,
door.
sure, right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and so they just check in there, and then we seat it, so. And like for Avocado Fest, it'll just be open and people can come and
Right, okay.
back there.
Because I know, and sometimes when my wife and I eat at somewhere it's somewhat removed from the front door, you kind of feel like, do they know we're here?
Yeah, no, I like I said, I think that's only going to be during the busy season primarily when that's going to be open and operating. So there'll always be somebody around and out. So.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing it updated and revamped, but certainly the tall fence on 7th Street, I I think that's fine. It actually will probably look better than what it is now, just being open there.
Yeah.
But having the lower fence out front would be a lot more attractive from the street side, I don't know. Okay, that's it.
Very good. I'm very supportive of it. I think, enough's been said about most of the issues in the fencing and so on. My only comment would be, I think the combination of the two properties, the two restaurants next to each other, that's one of the most iconic parts of the city. And so being able to see that buzz, I mean, driving by and looking in the windows is always what's going on in there. So I think that same feel between the two would be nice.
Yeah.
And it's the same feel next door. You look in that window, what's the buzz inside? So that would be my only comment. So with that, take a motion from,
Could we, acting chair,
yep,
provide the director with some direction on what we want to do with the fence along Linden? So I'm hearing Board Member Little's fine with the 6-foot vehicle entry gates up to the property line on 7th. Is there concurrence with the board there, so we can say that 7th is probably good as proposed? Okay, so then along the patio on the Linden side, what would be your suggestions? And this is a free exchange of information if we can come to some sort of consensus, because I just get the sense that the director's not going to approve 6 feet. Oh, right, that close to
42
Linden.
Linden is fine, and the one behind it, to the storage yard can be 6 foot.
so 42 and 6 is the suggestion?
Right, I like that.
Are these bifold doors open when you're using this patio?
Yes.
So you can see in just fine?
Yeah,
And when it's not being used,
then it would be closed. Yeah, it's not going to be closed while it's in use, because that's the egress in and out. So it's either open or it's closed.
It is justified a bit towards the neighbor, the opening.
so, and what we talked about was that there was going to be no storage, no big bunch of empty tables sitting there.
No, I think there'll probably be tables sitting there, like, they'll be set up probably just in their rows and be left there, because they're pretty heavy to move those tables. So.
I would imagine it'd be similar to like Rincon and
Yeah. it'll-
Teddy's and others. So the tables will remain and they're outdoor, weatherproof
Yeah.
kind of thing. It'll just be, it'll be closed so there people don't, obviously, if you're not going to be serving outside or it's not in season, then they would go into the restaurant. That's how, the lights are off at night. Yeah. So we want to promote, we want our local businesses to have this. We just don't want a 6-foot fence, especially when this is seasonal, right? So a lot of the year it will just look like a 6-foot fence, and so passersby and visitors might not even know that there's this awesome patio area there that they could, when they come back in the summer or at AvoFest, that they could enjoy. So we're looking for some compromise here that will get that delineation and security, but not be 6 feet.
I recognize you said a compromise. Are you thinking 5 feet? What is your vision?
Well, the policy, again, is compatible with the neighborhood. So if we review the city's policies, that's in the staff report, there's a discussion of that. So, that's why I kind of like did a little, kind of quick Google Street View tour around of something. So, something in the 42 inch range seems appropriate to staff, because that's kind of common. I mean, we have an architect here, so we could get his opinion, and the business owner, so
ABC requires 42-inch minimum for alcohol serving.
that would be a good linkage there as well.
42. For the ABC.
If I could make a suggestion.
Please.
There's 42, there's 5, there's 6. The reality is this is an advisory board to, the director. So, and then the director and the applicant, make a compromise and a decision. I think we set that stage for a negotiation by going to the lower limit, and then let the applicant and staff decide where they're going to get. We're not negotiating. we're setting the stage for the negotiation.
I think that helps. Yeah, set the your, thou shall not exceed comment, and then and we can go from there.
Does that work?
Keep in mind what the streetscape is of Carpinteria.
Yeah. Personally, I like 42, and I love the idea of looking in there. I think, again, that, for me, that whole corner is a buzz.
And the one up the street
Yeah.
with a rooftop bar.
Right. So, that's my suggestion.
So somebody want to make a motion with that?
I'll make a motion for it with comments.
I second it.
All in favor?
All in favor? We'll voice
Aye.
vote? Aye. Very good.
All right. And we'll circle back with both of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So again, that was
Coming to-
preliminary and final approval with the recommendation to the director that the Linden frontage fence be 42 inches.
And the 7th Street can be 6 feet.
Yeah, I already got that. I put that down in the comment. Because that's already what's on there, so it would be exactly as they've designed it. All right, thank you, gentlemen. And just some housekeeping things.
Yeah, we gotta
and
do a
get-
couple of
get
things,
those
I think.
Things done, and you'll leave me the comment? Thank you so much. Yeah, and if you do have any questions, feel free to follow up directly. Okay?
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Of course.
Good to see you.
I'm so sorry not to talk in there because he was talking to
That's-
me.
That's okay.
It's understandable.
Respect for all of you.
Likewise.
All
You're
right.
fine.
Good night.
Those are the awkward moments.
We're a town, we work together, we do what we can.
So we didn't do the consent. Does anybody have any issues with the minutes?
Looked okay to me.
Fine with me.
Okay, motion to approve.
A motion to approve.
Second?
Oh, Lisa beat you to it.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Very good. And then there's another item here on the table from matters by staff. Is this just a heads up?
Matters, so we took care of, so nothing referred by planning commission or council. Matters by staff, thank you for taking that, so Cindy could get out of here and she didn't have to wait. I think we should,
And
what's
there's
that?
this is-
We delivered this is your packet for Monday's joint
Right.
ARB, planning commission, city council meeting. So you've
We're
got
not-
that
We're
now.
not doing anything with this now.
You're not doing anything, you're just reading it diligently
reading
and
material.
making notes and
Okay.
saving all your comments.
Last comment, if I could. Amy's fine.
Okay.
Regrets missing. She's doing okay, though.
And going out on a limb here, maybe a topic for the next meeting is why we have the matters by staff at the end of the agenda, and is it more appropriate to have them at the beginning? So maybe we could take that up. In a
Yeah,
future
my
meeting.
only comment about it is I've used it a couple of times, knowing that everybody's gone. When, at the beginning of the meeting, you got a room full, and
True.
if you got a
Yeah,
touchy,
do you want the whole public to know stuff that's,
it is open, it is an open meeting, that's, so we're not,
I think,
completely
yeah,
divorced from
some
that.
some of it'll depend on who the staff member is. So like if it's Marisol's project, she would get
Yeah.
overtime, so we have to balance her schedule out.
it's a pretty flexible thing. You can do it any way we need to.
Thank you for that, for the flexibility. Anything for staff from board members? Go ahead.
Are we still recording this?
Yes.
We're still in open
Meeting is
meeting,
still
yeah.
in process.
Okay. I'm surprised that we don't have an introduction of the people that are coming up and making a presentation. The applicants, I didn't know who the applicants were until later
I
in the
handled
presentation.
that.
You know,
I
usually
handled
we
that.
do.
I handled that
And I was
poorly.
also, I'm also interested in, I'm surprised we didn't ask the public comments to introduce themselves.
We always do. In this case, we didn't, and we didn't have a speaker slip. So the typical protocol is that they fill out a speaker slip, and then they give it to the chair, and then the chair calls up the public comment by name. In this case, they had not provided us the speaker slip.
Yeah, and this is my first go, to be honest, and I handled.
That was the
I
exception.
handled this part poorly.
Exception, not the
I
rule.
should have said,
Okay.
please
Well,
introduce
I
yourself.
just feel like, yeah, it would have been for the minutes, for the public viewing, for everything.
Brown Act doesn't require the speakers.
That's
Right,
true.
they have
That
an
is-
option.
that is true.
They do have an option.
They're not
so
compelled.
they
And
don't
I
have
think
to-
you'll find too, board member, that like Ted Meter, like he's here like every third meeting, or you start to get
Right,
this.
right, right.
But it's you're right, especially for the members of the viewing public or members of the audience that don't, have. I think I like that formality. Please introduce yourself. That I think that's good for the record.
Well, for what it's worth, every body does it differently.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm now on these other things, and
Well, for those that are taking the minutes,
the water
as you said,
district, there's a
it's
sheet,
nice.
you go up and you sign in when you get in the room.
Right.
And sometimes you have public comment, and the people might be coming in from, 50 miles away.
Right.
Just to
To
knock down somebody.
their comments.
And you're like, huh, you don't know.
Good point.
Good point. My bad.
You did just fine acting.
Yeah, usually we know who they are, and especially the old-time ones.
So-
They're very
Tennis next meeting is Monday.
So yeah.
Is everybody in on
So
Monday?
sorry about that. We do have our joint meeting, and again, Lorena had provided your packets for that Monday meeting for you here. Hopes that you can take those home. And then our next regular ARB meeting will be on the 17th. We do have at least one item. Right now we have tentatively, not tentative, we have it on there, the Franklin Creek Trail project, so that should be an interesting one. And as of now, that's the only project. We could slip another item on there. We'll see how far we get. And then the May 1st meeting, we do have scheduled 3 items on that meeting date. And Board
May
Member
1st.
Wolf, May 1st, yeah. Board Member Wolf will be conflicted due to her proximity to these projects. These are the cooler projects, you might remember.
The Dorrance one?
The 1st, yeah, May 1st. So there's no reason for her to attend since she will not be hearing any of those 3. So we're hoping that we can still maintain a quorum for the first. Richard's looking at me like he may be traveling that meeting. You've got some time.
You just need 3.
We just need 3.
Yeah.
We've got some time, so you don't have to make any plans now. But we do know that Board Member Wolf won't be available.
Those are all Dorrance and Linden,
Yeah, Dorrance and Lynn, right, yeah, exactly, those 3.
the Stein properties.
Yeah, the former Stein properties, yeah.
The Dillon properties.
By the way, that doesn't mean you can't attend as a member of the public.
Right.
Correct, yeah, you can still make comments.
And I'm not sure if it's appropriate for me to mention that there are a few meetings coming up that I am missing, including for pre-scheduled.
Yeah, and so we'll,
Makes me nervous that everybody else might be missing too, or somebody.
There's
might
not
be.
a lot you can do about it.
yeah, so we'll.
They don't always happen, by the
The
way.
visibility that we have is at least one meeting out, right? So like, we know that we're gonna have a meeting on the 17th, and that's as far as, and we know that we've got 3 items on the 1st. And that's probably that's actually far out for us
Yeah,
to be
we-
that far out.
Sometimes it just- there's no
So we
meeting.
just kind of, wing it, and then if you have your availability known for the next meeting and perhaps the one after, and we just do the best we can.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.